He was only 10 when the world asked him to grow up. His name was Aram, a little boy with messy hair, tired eyes, and a heart full of dreams. Every morning he'd run to school barefoot, clutching a torn notebook in his small hands. He wasn't rich, but he was happy because his father always said, "Son, education is the one thing no one can ever steal from you." But one rainy evening changed everything. Arham's father never came home from work. An accident. Single moment that turned their small, warm home silent forever. His mother cried for nights. His younger sister didn't understand what death meant. She just kept asking, "When will Daddy come back?" Arham sat in a dark corner, watching the candle flicker near his father's photo. He didn't cry. He couldn't. Something inside him broke, and in its place, something else was born. A promise. The next morning, he took off his school uniform and folded it neatly. "Mom," he said softly, "from now on, I'll take care of everything." She looked at him with tears streaming down her face. "But you're just a child." Arham just managed a faint smile. "Not anymore." From that day, his real education began, not in a classroom, but in the grueling school of struggle. He started working in the streets, washing cars, carrying heavy boxes for shopkeepers, and cleaning floors. His small, soft hands quickly became rough and calloused. His young back ached constantly, but he never once complained. Every single coin he earned, he placed into his mother's trembling hands. While the other kids went to school with new bags and bright, shiny shoes, Arham would watch from a distance. A heavy feeling would settle in his chest, a mix of longing and loss. But then his little sister would run up to him, her eyes sparkling, shouting, "Arham, I got milk today." And in that moment, all the heaviness would melt away. He was exhausted, but he was proud. Years passed, life didn't get any easier, but Arham got stronger. He found a job at a mechanic's garage. His shirt was perpetually covered in oil stains, but there was an unquenchable fire in his eyes. Whenever he saw shiny, expensive cars drive past, he would whisper to himself one day, "I won't just fix them, I'll own them." At night, when the rest of the world slept, Arham's day wasn't over. He would sit under the dim glow of a streetlight, reading old newspapers and discarded books he found in trash bins. He didn't know English well, but he learned painstakingly, word by word, line by line. He would trace the letters of the word success with his finger, repeating it like a mantra. One day, he vowed, "That word will belong to me." Then one day, his life took a small but significant turn. A man named Mr. Harris, the owner of the garage, noticed Arham's quiet discipline and relentless work ethic. "You're different from the others," he said one afternoon. "You've got something in you, something rare." Mr. Harris began teaching him basic business tricks, how to talk to customers with confidence, how to calculate profit, how to work more efficiently. Arham absorbed everything like a sponge, started saving every single dollar he could, often skipping meals just to put a little more aside for his dream. He started a small side hustle, repairing old, broken bikes and reselling them. Then he moved on to old cars. Soon, he became known around town as the honest boy who never cheats. Step by step, he was climbing. When he turned 20, Aram made the bold decision to move to the city. The lights were blindingly bright, the buildings taller than his wildest dreams, but he wasn't afraid. He worked as a delivery boy during the day and attended free business classes at night. He devoured knowledge about marketing, finance, and investments. Every time he looked in the mirror, he still saw the same boy from the village, but now with more scars on his hands and more hope in his eyes. Slowly, his growing confidence began to change his appearance too. His hair was no longer messy. His hands, though still strong and calloused, now held purpose, not just pain. His eyes still carried the memory of struggle, but now they shone with wisdom. People started to notice. They'd ask, "Who is this young man who simply never gives up?" After years of relentless saving and learning, Arham finally opened his first small auto repair shop. He named it in honor of his father, Yusuf Motors. The day the signboard went up, he stood outside just looking at it, as tears streamed down his face. He whispered to the sky, "Dad, did it. I really did it." At first, business was slow, but Arham treated every customer like they were family. He poured his heart into fixing cars that other mechanics said were impossible to repair, and he often charged people less than he should have. His reputation for honesty and skill spread like wildfire. Soon, local newspapers were writing stories about him, calling him the boy who turned hardship into hope. His small shop grew into a company. One branch, then another, then several across different states. Arham started wearing suits, not to show off, but as a symbol of what dedication and hard work can build. The same boy who once polished other people's shoes for a few coins now owned a chain of successful businesses. But success never made him forget where he came from. He went back to his old town. He walked down the same narrow street and stood before the same small house. But now it was brighter, repaired and filled with laughter. His mother stood at the door, her face radiant, smiling through tears of joy. "You kept your promise, Arham," she said softly. He hugged her tight and replied, "No, Mom. We kept it." He then visited the old school he had been forced to leave behind. He donated new books, new uniforms, and established a scholarship fund for children whose families couldn't afford an education. He stood before the students and said, "I once stood outside these gates wishing I could be inside, learning with you. Today, I'm here to make sure no other kid ever has to just stand outside and wish." The hall erupted in applause that seemed to go on forever. Years later, Arham became a renowned entrepreneur, running a successful car company and a foundation for underprivileged children. When journalists asked him for the secret to his success, he would simply say, "I didn't chase money, I chased growth." When you do that with honesty, money eventually chases you. But perhaps the most emotional moment of his life came one evening when he received a Lifetime Achievement Award. He walked onto the stage, tall, confident, wearing a perfectly fitted black suit. The bright stage lights reflected off his expensive watch, but his eyes reflected nothing but humility. He took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. "This award isn't just mine," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "It belongs to the 10-year-old boy who worked in the scorching heat. It belongs to the mother who prayed for him every single night. And it belongs to every dreamer out there who has ever been told they can make it. I'm here to tell you, you can. And you will. If I can rise from the dust, then anyone can." The hall exploded in a standing ovation. But among the sea of faces, his eyes found one, his sister, now a proud teacher, standing and clapping with tears of pride streaming down her face. That night, Arham looked up at the stars and whispered, "Dad, you see? Your son didn't just survive. He learned to shine." From that day forward, he started a new project called From Dust to Diamonds, a mentorship program for kids who, like him, had lost their fathers. He wanted every child to know that loss doesn't have to define you. It's your response to it that does. He still worked hard, woke up early, and smiled easily. But every morning, before leaving his grand mansion, he would pause and look at an old, faded photograph on his desk. A picture of a boy with messy hair, torn shoes, and eyes full of fire. He'd say, "Thank you, little Arham, for never giving up on me," because deep down, he knew the truth. The boy who once had nothing had given him everything. No dream is too big when your heart is honest and your soul refuses to quit. You don't need luck, you just need faith, fire, and a reason. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more inspiring content. We'll see you in the next one.